All right, good morning. It is now Tuesday, and tomorrow I'm going to be in Las Vegas with my wife. My wife's daughter is settled into the house. We've got her all trained up on how to take care of my aunt while we're out of town. My wife and I will be traveling to our small little old hometown for flying out to Seattle. We're going to drive up there today, sometime around noon, so that's going to be coming up pretty soon. I spent hours yesterday trying to squeeze in one last long form video for YouTube. That is done and in the can. In fact, it's processing right now going to YouTube. I'm going to go put it up. It is on Brian Koberger. And I realize that everybody who watches this channel isn't into the Brian Koberger thing. Hopefully you are. Hopefully you're paying attention to that story, because it's going to get crazy, wicked, interesting. The long form video I did might be a little dry. I'm a little bit worried about that, but it's episode 2 of the Devil's Briefcase podcast, which is a little bit more polished. And I feel like this one's even more polished than my first one. So it's kind of cool in that regards. I'm doing new things with editing. I'm teaching myself these things because my business partner, who's my graphics guy, is too busy right now. So I'm having to teach myself Premiere and other tools on the fly and get a little bit better at it. And I'm pretty proud of myself for the video editing, the behind the scenes. That's what this is all about, right? Is the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm pretty proud of myself for what I did. And I pulled that off last night, the hours of recording and editing for this episode number 2, which is the first episode about Brian Koberger. The very first episode of The Devil's Briefcase was about Luigi Mangione and the game theory. This one is episode 2, and it's the first one on Brian Koberger, and it's called the Lewiston Clarkston connections. It's discussing where Brian Koberger, if he was the murderer of the Idaho 4, where he might have deposited the knife and bloody clothes, because they've never found the knife and bloody clothes. I cover a couple of different routes that I think are the most likely places where I would look for those weapons, if the knife and the bloody clothes, if they're out there still. So I give my theories about where I would have put it if it were me. We're also going to have a drive, my buddy and I, through those locations that I discuss on this episode that's getting posted today. It's right now, it's processing in my room while I'm out here making this video. When I go back, I plan on finishing up the title and all that stuff like that, and then hitting publish, and it's going to be live. So I hope that you'll give it a shot, even if you're not watching the Koberger thing and you want to support the Devil's Advocates, even on the Luigi stuff. I would ask you to just play that video, let it run for the hour that it runs, and give me the watch time. The watch time is an important metric that I'm trying to build. I need to have X number of watch time before I can possibly have any commercials on my podcast. And that's the only way that I'm going to be able to monetize that eventually. So if you could give me an hour's watch time, or put it on a loop and watch it a few times, that would be fantastic. Watch time hours are important. So again, even if you're not watching the Brian Koberger thing, I would recommend, or I would ask, if you are a supporter of this channel, just to let that play for some watch time hours. I don't like to game the system, but other people game the system, so why not? I also I drop a real bombshell at the end of that episode 2 of The Devil's Briefcase, about the Brent Kopaka connection, or possible connection to the Idaho 4 murders. It's something that got me in trouble. Like, on all my videos that I've ever made, the one that I mentioned, Brent Kopaka, got the most down votes. Like, almost everybody is 100% up votes. Yes, they like this video, but when I mention Brent Kopaka, people start downvoting me because they don't like the idea of implicating somebody who hasn't been implicated. However, those connections are there. They can't be mistaken. So you should look into them. And I'm going to ask the questions, even if it's making people uncomfortable. Heck, it's uncomfortable to make connections in a murder about 4 individuals who are quote unquote potentially innocent. Although there's questions about whether or not those murders were potentially a drug hit and how innocent they really were, or whether their families were involved. All that shit. I'm just teasing. You need teasing as in you need to go watch it, because there's a fascinating story behind this story, especially how the FBI came up with Brian Koberger's name and whether or not Brent Kopaka was originally their target. So you need to look into this. If you're not aware and you're even remotely intrigued, please watch that for those watch time hours, and please watch it for my watch time hours if you're willing, even if you're not watching that, but you support Luigi, because that'll help the channel, and Luigi's on my channel as well. So again, we're getting ready to take off. I'm in the car right now making a quick video. This morning I'm going to go back in there. I'm going to publish that episode 002 of The Devil's Briefcase on Brian Koberger, the Lewiston Clarkston connections. And then I'll basically try to get Rhonda on lapel mic in the drive up to the Tri-Cities so that she can tell you in her own words about finding her mother, how she was adopted, how she found her mother on ancestry sites, things like that. Also related to the Brian Koberger situation, because that has to do with ancestry sites and genealogy sites. So we're going to talk a little bit about that on the way up, hopefully, to the Tri-Cities, and you'll be able to hear her voice. Maybe even get her on camera. I don't know if I can get the angle of this camera to get both the driver and the passenger, or maybe I'll just put it on her if she's not completely camera shy, and she'll do it and you'll just hear me as the disembodied voice off camera. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining us on the trip to Vegas. That's coming up tomorrow. We're going to be doing shots hopefully from the airport. We're going to do the flights from Seattle. We're going to do the meeting the family for the first time. If you're at all interested in the human interest side, the man behind the scenes, the woman behind the scenes of the Devil's Advocates, check that out. More information to come. Hopefully later today, again, the recording with my wife about her family and about these sisters and her father, the discovery of her mother, the discovery of her father, the discovery of her sisters, why we're going down to Vegas to meet them. All of that hopefully we'll get to cover in a video later today for behind the scenes. Go check out now Devil's Briefcase, episode 002, Brian Koberger and the Lewiston Clarkston connections. Thanks.